This story is about the bridge master of Manotick. The story of the bridge master and his house on Bridge Street is told with the assistance of his granddaughter, who told me a little bit about this. He was the bridge master of the swing bridge at Long Island. The house referred to is almost across the road from the public school on Bridge Street. The original property was owned by Arthur McEwen in 1865, later sold to Moss Dickinson, and James and Margaret Driscoll bought it after that and built the house. Besides his own skills as a carpenter, he worked as a wheelwright, building cutters and buggies at McCorkle's carriage shop. The house remained Driscoll's name until 1947. Being a bridge master was a 24-hour day job, since many of the steamers on the Rideau at the time came through during the night. An approaching boat would blow its whistle about a mile upstream to notify Mr. Driscoll of its approach. Upon hearing the signal, Jimmy Driscoll would walk or bicycle down to the bridge, which, by the way, was a swing bridge in those days. It was a crank bridge, which meant that the bridge master would place a metal rod in a gearbox in the center of the bridge and walk around in circles till the bridge was open. You can see this sort of thing at Long Island Locks in Manotick. When James was 20 years old, he had an accident while hunting muskrats in the Rideau River. He was getting out of his canoe when he saw a big rat coming. He reached for his loaded musket and triggered it by accident, shooting himself in the neck. This kept him at home for about 3 months. After recovering, he had to hide the scar. About 5 years later, he married Sarah Ann Quinn of Nepean. The two had 2 boys, Tom and Frank, daughters Margaret and Florence. James died in the early 1940s. His eldest son, Frank, was named Dusty, and he took over the bridge at the age of 16. He was a very versatile and young man, learning the electrical trade in Ottawa in the winter, and then he was also a good carpenter, an accomplished violinist, and a self-taught pianist. There was, at that time, a candy store at the corner of Arthur and Richard Streets, which we'll talk about another time, operated by Henry Jolly. It seems that candy whistles were sold there, and some of the local boys would buy the whistles. They knew that the Ottawa, one of the steamers of the day, came from Ottawa with passengers about the same time each week. The boys would hide and blow their whistles. Upon hearing the whistle, Dusty Driscoll would hop onto his bicycle and ride down to the bridge to open it. Of course, the boat wouldn't show up, and Dusty was upset.